What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Manga Talk, where I talk to you about manga that you may or may not have heard about before. Yes. So, with that being said, let us talk about this lovely beauty of a story called Blade of the Immortal. It is a manga that was written by Hiroaki Shamura, I think is how you pronounce their name. Yeah, it is a seinen that was originally ran in Monthly Afternoon, which is a weird magazine name, but who am I talking about? In the States, we have People's Magazine. That's not all People's, just some. But anyways, it originally ran from the good old years of 1999, not 1999, but June of 1993, all the way to December of 2012. So, it eventually culminated into 31 volumes, though in the States, we got a re-release of them to be omnibuses. So that means that there are only 10 of these instead of 31, though you can still buy the 31 volumes of the story. And that story is a revenge plot of sorts. But before I talk about that, I just remembered one thing about the American English release of Blade of the Immortal is that it is reversed from usual manga. So instead of right to left, it is left to right, like most things. They did that when it first came out, because back in the day, that's how they did it. They would flip it, mirror it, though this one was a little bit different because of one key aspect that I'll get into later. But for the most part, it's not really flipped. They had to do a lot of cutting, pasting, moving around to fit the actual page so that it would work in the scheme of things without changing the art too much. So, like I was saying about the story of it. And that story is revenge, of all things. It's a kind of common plot in most stories, revenge, and that's how we get our action-packed scenes that drive the plot along. But I will say that it does something ever so slightly different that I do like about it. But let's get on to the actual explaining of it. Yeah. And that is that I say it's slightly different because the main character, the actual immortal of the Blade of the Immortal, Majin, is not the person setting out for revenge. In fact, it is the girl that's on the front cover, Rin Asano, I think is how you pronounce her name. If I get the last name wrong, I'm sorry, but Rin is easy name to say. Just really easy to name. People should just stick with easy names from now on. Yeah, she is trying to take down this group called the Itai Ryu. I think it is how you pronounce it. And it is set that I think it is in the Edo period of Japan, maybe, or it might be the Warring States. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But, yeah, she is on a quest to have vengeance of this group that killed her father and her family and essentially destroyed her family dojo, which she needs help. She is only about 16 at the start of the story, and I think it takes, like, if I remember correctly, over the course of a year, so by the end she's, like, 17. But, yeah, and it is an interesting story because unlike most, it's not like the dude that is trying to do it. She essentially hires Majin to fight for her and to take out this group, the Itai, I think is how you pronounce the name. I'm sorry if I don't get it right. So that it's an interesting plot, and also it's not straightforward with the revenge, and also the fighting in it is kind of interesting. Because I'm terrible at explaining some things sometimes, but it is interesting because you have the at the start you just think it's a simple I am going to find these people and I'm going to kill them, and that is how I'm going to have my revenge for them killing my father. But as the story progresses, you find more and more interesting things. You get to know the people that are with the Itai and why they do the things that they do and why they're doing the things that they do. And also why they attacked that her family's dojo, why they did the thing. And it definitely diversifies into a less of a straightforward, I'm just going to kill the bad guys and that's it. That it just becomes more different. That I was not expecting when I started the series at all. Man, it's good. But it's not like Ublat, which I covered in the previous video. It's not like that by the time that you understand why, like, you know why Rin is going to have that revenge. It's not like in Ublat where it was just like, I don't know why this Coinzel is trying to find these people and why he wants to kill them. No, you know why she wants to, but as you progress through it, you have characters come up, you know why certain aspects of their personality, why they are doing the things that they're doing, and you have it where it is just so interesting that how each scenario arc of the story plays out, and it's not like so straightforward. You're not being like, oh man, this is why they're doing this, or this is why this character has these motivations. It's like, so you have these motivations because this happened to you, but the reason why that happened to you was because of this reason, and it develops quite nicely. There were so many times where I didn't know who was going to live except one person, and that one person is Majin, her Rin's essential bodyguard, who is the titular blade of the Immortal, who is the Immortal of the Blade. It is an interesting circumstances because Majin is essentially a criminal of sorts. He killed 100 people, and I think if I remember correctly, he also killed his sister's husband. That was one of the people which changed how certain aspects happened. And he essentially, after almost dying, if I remember correctly, is turned into this immortal by this traveling nun who apparently is 800 years old, by giving him what I think are called blood worms that make sure that they keep his body together, which is an interesting side effect of like how people are alive. Essentially, if I remember correctly, slows the aging process also. So sure, he technically is nigh immortal. He can survive so many things. Like in the earlier parts of the series, he gets shot in the head. He has his limbs cut off constantly. He is stabbed multiple times. It is horrific, but it is interesting because you just have this character that can just be able to survive all these attacks. But even early on, I'm just like, oh yeah, he's probably going to make it to the end. But there was even some parts where it was just like, oh damn, I don't even know if he's going to survive, because it's not like he has perfect immortality. The worms essentially just keep him together, and all that, and it's not like he also it just cures him of all injuries. Like before he became immortal, and these worms were put inside of him, he lost one of his eyes. So at one point, in a fight, he also loses another eye, his other eye, and is severely hampered as all of a sudden he is blind and is trying to fight blind in a situation where he's not used to that. But it's not just Majin, which is one of the reasons why they did the certain things, because he has a Buddhist symbol on his back most of the times. But if they were to flip that, that is what it would become the swastika, and because of the fucking Nazis that happened, goddamn Nazis. But that's the reason why they went to so much extremes instead of just flipping it and being like, yeah, it's done. Because if they did that, then it would have been a different symbol. Goddamn Nazis, I hate them. Anyways, I'm digressing. But, besides that, and the characters that you meet along the way, you are like, oh, I kind of like this character. Or, oh man, I hate this character with a passion right away. And you have Rin trying to get a handle of what her revenge is. Like, do I really want to do that? Because it sounds like him killing my family was because of some reasons in his past, and not his past, but the group's past, and it becomes so much more than just I'm gonna go kill the bad guy and that is it. You have characters that show up that you think are going to last the whole time, and then they die pretty early, or it's hard to explain how much the story ebbs and flows and where it will end up at the end, but also just how the fights are also played out in it, because sometimes it's just like, yeah, we have this character that can literally almost basically survive just about anything that's thrown at him, only to find out that, yeah, if he gets cut up too much, it takes him a while to, like, become healed, and it's not just, oh yeah, I am going to survive this because I have immortality. And even Majin knows that at points. Like, it takes him a while to put an arm back on, because it's not like it's regrowing, it just, you have to put them back together, which changes how most of his fights are. He can basically be able to last longer than most of the people he fights. It's just being able to get in there. But even him, it's not like he is infallible. And some of the other characters that he fights or they show fighting, it is unbelievable how much goes on. It's crazy. And yeah, it's crazy because at some points you even start sympathizing with the Itairyo, all the people that are in that group and why they're doing that. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, that dude's mad. I don't want to deal with him. He is evil incarnate. And that's the easy part. But at other points you're just like, so who am I cheering for? And other points it's just like, okay. Alright, I don't know, man. It's crazy. So it's more or less just very interesting. Like, some of the weapons also in it, not even like the other characters, but Majin like carries around 13 different weapons around with him, and it's just like weird. I think at one point I read up on this, but the creator just started making up weapons just because you didn't even know what half of them did, but they just seemed cool. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting story, and some of the characters are interesting, and by the end of it you don't know how it is exactly going to turn out. You don't know what is going to happen. You don't know how it is, and when it happens you're just like, oh, okay. And it's a weird feeling because you're just like, I don't even know if they made the right choice. And if they did, what was the cost? You know? And by that last battle, there's a lot of dead. Just a lot of dead. And you're just like, oh, what is going to happen after that? But yeah, it's a good story. It's a banger, man. You can, even the quiet moments, you're just like wondering what is going to happen. The talking between characters, trying to figure out, suss out the plots that are happening, even as Rin and Majin are just going after this group. The other factions join up, and you're just like, what is going on? So, yeah, it was great. I mean, I didn't even talk about most of the other characters, and the art of it is pretty more realistic, just based off the cover and probably the art that I'll be showing. But it is not like most situations where you're just like, oh yeah, definitely cartoonish. No, it is a definite showing more realistic art. Granted, there are still parts in the story that aren't realistic, like the freaking Immortal part and certain other aspects. But yeah, it was definitely one of the stories that I regretted being able to finish. I wanted more. I think there might be a different series along with it that's going on right now, but I don't know for sure. If there are, please leave down in the comments. Yeah, it was a good story. I would recommend it if anyone is really interested in a slightly more realistic story than most. But it definitely has that element of, oh, these people are kind of superhuman, even the ones that aren't immortal, and it's just good, man. So yeah, I would recommend you read it. And if you don't, I understand. It's not like it's a story for everyone, and it's also not preachy with some aspects of it. It's not like, oh yes, you shouldn't have revenge. Here though, it's you just have to ask questions about why you would want revenge. So yeah. So with all of that being said, I would recommend you guys read it. If you don't, that's understandable. So, all that being said, if you like the video, please think about leaving a like. Or if you dislike the video, I understand. You can leave that dislike if you want. If you have read Blade of the Immortal, or you are thinking about reading Blade of the Immortal, leave a comment down below. Talk about it. Discuss it. That's what it is. Just a discussion about it. And if you like the content, I have other videos out. You can subscribe to find out when I'm posting more. I will try to do it once a week. So far, I've been keeping that schedule. You know, that I may be able to post more a week depending on how the rest of 2020 goes. But yeah, and if I don't know how else to do this, but yeah. I've been the Bearded Otaku. You have been listening to Manga Talk, and I hope you have a very lovely day. Yes, bye.